Thanks for tuning in for another edition of AARP Foundation Experience Corps in the community. My name is O.S. Owen, and I will be your host. I am the volunteer recruiter for the AARP Foundation Experience Corps. And today in our studios, we have a phenomenal individual. We have Margaret Johnson, who is director of the Northeastern Illinois University's Business Innovation and Growth Center, better known for the program as At 50, Work for Yourself. Thank you so much, Margaret, for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Well, it's been challenging to get here. Yeah. So we're going to kind of get right into it because timing is of the essence here. Now, Margaret, you have a list of phenomenal credentials, and I'm not going to talk about all of them, but you were the SBA Small Business Person of the Year. You were the 100 Women Making a Difference, the State of Illinois Today Chicago's Women. So is this work must be your passion?
It is. I believe that we are all given a gift, and one of the gifts that I have luckily been given is an idea, the way to take an idea and turn it into a business. And at first I did that for my own businesses, and now at age 50 plus, I am so happy to be able to do that for so many other people's businesses and help them realize their dreams.
You are a hit maker in the industry because you guide and you mold folks and you help them to reach their aspirations. So now so you've been quoted as saying that if you are looking to increase economic development, you should go where the success rate is the highest, which is with people who are 55 and older.
So the Kauffman Foundation, which is the leader in entrepreneurial research, did a study, and what they found was that people age 55 and older are starting businesses faster than even 20 and 30-year-olds. There's more of us age 50 plus starting businesses. And what happens is we flip this statistic. So we've all heard 75% of new businesses fail in the first year. For people age 50 plus starting businesses, 75% are still in business at year 3, have reached $1 million in sales, and have hired 5 employees. So I say if you want to invest in entrepreneurship and the economic development that comes with that, bet on people age 50 plus.
Well, the lady who started the AARP organization, Dr. Andrew Percy's, she was 63 years old when she started the organization.
Yes.
And now the organization is 60 years old. So 60 years later, here we are. So that proves your point there. So let me ask you this now. What's so special about folks over 50?
Yes, right? And it's one of the things I've been researching in my doctorate is to find out what's so special. But if you think about it, it makes a lot of common sense. People age 50 plus start businesses in areas that they understand. It might have been an industry that they've had a decades-long career in, or 3 decades-long career, or it might have been a hobby or something that they have been doing on a volunteer basis that they look to turn into a business. So they already know a lot about what they are starting. What they don't know is how to start a business, but what they do know is the industry, the customers. They have contacts of hundreds or thousands of people already that they've accumulated over the last several decades of their life. So that's an amazing starting point and an amazing base for any business that you might go start.
I agree, and those who are in business don't understand the business of being in business.
Correct.
So you can know the business, but then there's a process to be in business.
Yeah.
So how did this relationship form between Northeastern Illinois University and the AARP Foundation?
Well, the AARP Foundation, which is 38 million people across the country, so it's the largest lobbying group, and it's for age 50 plus. And the foundation itself, their mission is eliminating senior poverty.
Yes, it is.
And so one of the ways that they do that is looking to help us generate income. And when the head of the Income Impact Group in Washington, D.C. was first contemplating this program, a woman named Dr. Rebecca Corbin with the NACCE, National Association of Community Colleges for Entrepreneurship, scheduled a conference call with the 3 of us. She said, you need to meet Marge Johnson, and we started with a concept of what this program might look like. And then they took it a lot further than what that original call was, but they looked at what were some of the best practices in getting a business off the ground. And they developed a workshop program that now is across the country. We are one of the
32 grantees,
Right,
yes. Yes, the only one in Illinois, though.
Well, we were the only one in Illinois for 3 years, and just this year, AARP decided to scale even more by allowing there to be more than one grantee in each state, because they now have figured out the pilot and figured out the kinks. So every time that I'm on a community practice call with them,
Yeah.
there are more and more grantees, which is great, because this spreads, again, the program spreads the workshops and helps people understand whether or not they have the mindset to be an entrepreneur. And that's what the program's about, is the entrepreneurial readiness.
Now, I've always talked to my students, and I always ask them the question, what does entrepreneurship mean? And they give me all of these high-tech, fancy answers, and I'm looking basically for one word, and that one word for me is a risk taker. So I'm going to ask you, in a nutshell, what connects you to this work? Because you're very passionate about it. And you are a risk taker, and you encourage others to take risks. So what's the connection?
Well, I don't consider betting on yourself to be as big of a risk as betting on the rest of the world. So if you're waiting for the rest of the world to provide for you, that to me is riskier than betting on yourself to go and make something happen. And the one thing that every entrepreneur in the world has in common is that they decided to do it. And everyone who's not an entrepreneur never made the decision to do it. So one of the things that I do is I help people make an informed decision about when and how it might be right for them to take that step into entrepreneurship. And the program really looks at taking small incremental steps. We all think about the tech stars who started in their garage and then become superstars overnight. This program teaches you how to work incrementally. You might start something on the side. You might plan a business while you're also planning your retirement. So you might spend 3 or 4 years planning to be at a point that then you're ready to start something. Our next step after the workshop is that if you're ready to start planning your business, that's the first thing you do. You come in and you work through the financials. Who will be your customers? What are you going to sell them? What's it going to cost you? How do you make sure that you have a plan to make money, not just to go about running about having a business?
Now, this is part of the Big Center, right?
Yes.
What's the Big Center? Can you tell our viewing audience? And if you just tuned in, we are here with Margaret Johnson, the director of the business environment, the Big Center, and she is our entrepreneur guru.
So Northeastern Illinois University has a 150-year history here in Chicago, and we are a university that is in the neighborhoods. So we have 3 urban campuses, one at 5500 North St. Louis, one that you are very familiar with at 700 East Oakwood, and one at the intersection of 9094. And those 3 campuses are in 3 urban areas. What the Big Center is it's the Business Innovation and Growth Center.
See, I knew that. Just couldn't get it out.
And it's a virtual center. There's not a building because we're in all 3 buildings. And therefore, we run our programming at each of our campuses, but the Business Innovation and Growth Center is actually located at all of them.
Okay. Now, do you have a success story or an example that you could share with our viewing audience of someone who is over 50 who's come through the program?
So I have 3. I'll go through kind of briefly.
Okay.
So one of the categories that's of interest to age 50 plus is the cannabis category.
Well, yeah, that's popping these days, right?
Right. And so we have two entrepreneurs that are age 50 plus that have come through the business planning program. One is a woman named Deborah Dillon, and she has been a successful business owner from the Bronzeville and Inglewood areas. Has had two prior businesses, then had some health issues, had a break from her business, and now is very interested in the cannabis space. And so she did a business related to urban farming, so farming that you can do within an indoor environment, and started in the area of medical cannabis, and now she's teaching classes at Chicago State University in one of the first Cannabis 101 programs, and is using that as her first paid training sessions, because one of her missions was to actually not be opening a dispensary, but to be training people how to use this as a medicinal purpose, things like that. So she's
that's good. That's good for our audience. It's not a dispensary here. We're training people on the uses of it. Give me another story.
So the other one is a dispensary.
Well, you got another one.
Yes. So also another woman in the program, her name is Terry Albano.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. You know Terry.
Yes.
And Terry was accepted into Cresco Labs Accelerator Program, and now she, with the business plan she did with us, got accepted into Cresco Labs program. Now they are helping her apply to be one of the first dispensaries in Chicago. So that's very exciting. Now, those applications go in January.
Okay.
But this accelerator program only accepted a few businesses to come in and go through the application process.
Now, what are some of the business courses that you offer, that are being offered through the Big Center and that are in conjunction with those of us who are over 50?
So the first program, so the free workshops from AARP are foundational.
Okay.
And those are the entrepreneurial readiness. And out of that, if you say, I do have an idea that you can express in 1 to 3 sentences of what your business will be, like a cannabis dispensary, or like another woman that we have, Andrea Peterson, whose business is a excuse me, chocolate and molasses product that helps with absorption. She was on medication that costs $400 a month, and with this product that she's developed, she's gotten off the medication. She came to us and she said a major grocer was asking her to be on the shelf there, and she didn't know if it would make sense for her to be in that grocery store or not. So she came into the business planning process and ended up with a plan for a $4 million business, and she's now on the shelf at 5 different grocery stores, 5 different grocery chains. So that's another success story that comes out of this business planning course. Now, we've only had the Big Center in operation for 1 year.
Okay, so
We've had 200 people come through the workshops. We've had 33 people now complete the business planning courses, and we are adding in the spring of this year additional courses on sales and marketing, because that once you've planned the business, you have to go get some customers.
That's right, and you got to stay in business.
That's
you know?
right.
So what are some of the biggest challenges for those of us over 50 who are starting a business, who want to start a business, or who are thinking about it?
So one of the biggest challenges for any entrepreneur, and certainly also applies in the 50-plus category, is access to finance.
So regardless of how old you are, you've got to find the money.
That's right.
Okay.
And at age 50-plus, there's a temptation to say, okay, I'm going to bet on myself. I might have some retirement savings. I might have some equity in my home. And AARP and the Big Center, we are big advocates of saying to you, act like you're 20. Act like you don't have any money to put into this business, so that you are required to capitalize your business rather than risk your retirement savings. So we say, what can you do? One of the things that comes out of our program is that you have a video that you can do some crowdfunding behind. And that's one of the things that Obama's Jobs Act allowed, was that you can now equity raise without people having to have $1 million in net worth. So you come out of this program, now you have a video. Our next course for you is how to put together a crowdfunding campaign to get to that first round of capital that you need.
So come through the course, you come out with your business plan, and you come out with a video.
And the video comes afterwards, right? So we tape you at your pitch night, and then Northeastern Illinois students in our communications, media, and theater department, it's one of their class projects. They work on turning your video from the raw footage into something that you could then use as a crowdfunding campaign.
Wow, so it's a lot of resources that are available
Yeah.
through this program. If you're just tuning in, we're here, AARP Foundation Experience Corps. And let me tell you that we are constantly looking for volunteers. We're recruiting those that are 50 and over to be tutors and mentors for kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and third graders in the Chicago public schools. Please feel free to give us a call at 312-660-8655 if you have any interest or desire, or you know someone that's very interested in being a volunteer. We're back with you, Margaret. Now, let me ask you this question. When I was coming through undergrad, entrepreneurship wasn't anything that was taught. Now, it's becoming a very popular undergraduate degree, and from our conversations, it's very prevalent on the graduate level. What has been the shift in that? Why all of a sudden now it's so popular when we've been doing it since the beginning of time?
We have. Americans in particular are known for entrepreneurship. I think one of the things that makes it very popular is that the tech businesses and the rock stars that they have generated, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, and things like that. For young people, they say, hey, I could write an app and I could be successful. I think Shark Tank as a show has been a huge advocate. I was asked to speak to a group of students from Mexico, from University de Monterrey. And I wondered how many of them knew anything about entrepreneurship. I asked how many of them had seen Shark Tank. The whole room raised their hand. And so when you see something like that, you say, I have an idea. I could start something. And it has really inspired a lot of people to think maybe their idea could come true. But it still is a ton of hard work. And I think the universities, in response to the demand for courses in this area, have started adding those courses. I have been a 30-year serial entrepreneur, only 6 years in academia. So I'm figuring out what are the best practices in teaching entrepreneurship, because they used to say, we can't teach it, it's the school of hard knocks.
Yeah,
Right?
but that's not true, though.
It still is the school of hard knocks,
Okay,
right?
but you can't teach it.
But you can indeed learn skills and things to put in your toolkit.
And have a path. So
Right.
let me ask you this question, and it's very objective. When is one too old to be an entrepreneur? I mean, they throw us away at 50. They say, you're no good. In other countries, they uplift and value their seniors and the elders. Here, well, you're over 50. You're washed up. So what's too old?
Well, and what you say was in an Urban Institute report, December 2018, that said 53%, this is across the country, 53% of people aged 50 to 54 are partially forced or fully forced into retirement. So every other one of us is being moved out of a job that we thought was going to be our job to save for retirement. And we have a new longevity. We're living longer than we ever lived,
Yes,
right?
we
So
are.
let's say we're going to live till 90 and we get pushed out of our job at 50. That's 40 years worth of life we have to fund, right? So I answer you with the that there is a huge necessity and a huge opportunity, and that this is a potential silver lining in that dismal story.
Well, as you've been talking about, entrepreneurs over 50 are taking the world by storm.
Yes.
Can you point out some for us that our listening viewing audience might know?
Well, I can go to really classic examples. You mentioned the founder of AARP.
Yes.
I will also mention Colonel Sanders was in his 60s when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. McDonald's the franchise was launched when he was in his 50s. So those are success stories that we have known for a long time. McDonald's has minted more millionaires than Microsoft has. because you can come up through their franchise model and start running their restaurants, and they train you from the bottom up, right? So those are stories that we all know, but we didn't know that they were 50 plus when they did it.
We did that. Was there any reason why no one went in to identify them as being 50 plus?
Maybe because we are washed up and old when we were 50 plus.
Well, I think I look pretty good, and you look very good. You know.
Thank you. That's
Okay.
nice.
Once again, here we are with Margaret Johnson. She is the director for the Business Innovative and Growth Center, the Big Center, and she's at the Northeastern Illinois University, and this is in with partnership with the AARP Foundation. And if you want more information, please feel free to go to the website. I think we have a caller. Okay, they hung up. Okay, that's okay.
That's okay.
So now we've got just a little short time left, and if those that are just tuning in, what would you say to anyone out there that's 50 and over and has been thinking about doing this and has been putting it off and putting it off? What would you say to them that would be encouraging and motivating to move them to take the next step?
Well, the first next step is really easy. Come to one of our workshops. Those workshops are free. In 2 hours, you will have a chance to start exploring whether or not this might be a right area for you. AARP has a toolkit that you get in our workshop, or you can download off their website. And it is 30, 40 pages of assessments and resources that you can connect with to see, might this be a right path for you. And if you decide that it is, then I say get serious about it. As you would with any other career, what did you do? You went and got education about how to do that career. Owning your own business is also such a career. Get in, get the education. There are a lot of really good programs out there. Northeastern Illinois isn't the only one. The federal government has invested in SBDCs, Small Business Development Centers. They run a lot of good programming. They're connected with a lot of the universities. In the Chicago area, there are 15 of them. You can just, Google SBDC, Small Business Development Center. But start getting smart about what it is you want to do. Get the education that is available to you before you just go and launch.
I have to say that toolkit is phenomenal.
Yeah, it
Did you
really
have a
is.
hand in developing that toolkit?
This much.
Well, look, every bit helps. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's written in plain English. The instructions are easy to go to because I've looked at it and gone through it, and I've shared it with some folks who thought they wanted to go into business. I said, well, if you're serious, then take a look at this, and here's the next step.
Yeah.
And they came to the information session, and they said, I didn't believe or thought that I could do this.
Yeah.
And the way you presented it,
Thank you.
it wasn't like rocket science. You were talking in English. We had like 25 people in that room,
Yeah.
and you reached out to them in such a way. And I just want to encourage anyone out there. Look, the first 50 years were given to us. The next 50 years are all ours. We know how to sleep. We know how to eat. We know how to say no. We know how important stress is. And we still have dreams and passions, so it's not over. If you have any dreams or ideas, suggestions, put it to the test. Let's put it on paper. Let's go to the websites. Let's get the toolkit, and let's see what you're made of. I mean, Colonel Sanders, who knew? I mean, I just thought that they just took this guy and made him look old and put him in the commercials. But he was
60 plus.
And the franchise is still going on.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, everybody likes chicken. Everybody likes chicken. So at this point, when our folks launch the business and they're out there going, do any of them ever, come back and talk to you folks in your class? I mean, it's only been, about 2 years now, so you don't have a whole lot of folks out there.
A year.
A year?
Yes.
Does anybody come back yet?
So they do, and they already come back and are partnering with other people in the class. Terry Albano, who I mentioned at the beginning of the show,
Yes.
she hooked up with somebody in a later class to be one of the 7 people that she now has as part of the accelerator at Cresco Labs. So they come to events, they come to the classroom. We're already seeing people hook up together, and now with the additional courses that we're going to be running, they'll all be in those together too. So it's a community that supports each other.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. Now, you've taught entrepreneurship on the high school level. Is that correct?
So I'm on the board of the Economic Awareness Council. Tracy Frizzell is the executive director of that organization. They started as financial literacy and train intercity youth and are also part of the City of Chicago's Summer Youth Program, where they train youth to train other youth. So we train 40,000 high school students in the Chicago area every summer on financial literacy. The youth said, we also want to learn to start businesses, and that's when they recruited me to the board to teach entrepreneurship.
Okay. Now, I've been on the website, and I see you have this thing called a pitch night where ideas are pitched. What happens on pitch night? Can you tell us?
So pitch night for us is like Shark Tank, but without the sharks. And so what it is it's your graduation night. You are presenting your business plan, and this business plan is a first level business plan. So it's really just the income statement. If you need serious capital, if you are going to buy a building or open a restaurant and need fixtures, you're going to need phase 2. But the first pitch night is phase 1. And it's here's how I'm going to make $1 million in revenue. Here's what my gross margin is. Here's what my direct costs look like. And this is the money I need to get to the next step. So the next step might be I have to prototype this and see now, do people really like what I have? Or I have to apply for a license for something, and it's going to cost me this amount for a license. So we invite the community, anybody who's interested in the program, let me know if you'd like to come to a pitch night. We have 2 coming up in December, one on December 9th, one on December 11th. We'd be happy to see people there in the audience cheering on the entrepreneurs.
That's fantastic. But now let's just be clear, though, that this is just the first stage.
Yes.
You go to the orientation and you decide that this is something that you want to do, and then you move forward.
Yes.
So you're not going to come out of here and start a business and be a millionaire. That's the thing that I want to put out there, because sometimes we have unreasonable expectations.
It's the first step to becoming a millionaire.
Okay.
How about that?
Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of AARP Foundation in the community. Thank you to our stellar producer, the Black Butterfly. And until next time, we'll see you in the community with the AARP Foundation Experience Corps.
Thank you.